Sahana bhavatu Sahanam bhunatu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. In Kathopanishad, when the Lord Yama is teaching Nachiketa, a very deep spiritual aspirant, because there's nothing that Nachiketa had to lose. He was already dead, because his father had cursed him that he should die and go to Yama. So you don't go to Yama in your physical body as when you are alive. It means Nachiketa's soul had traveled to Yamaloka and was waiting for some wisdom from Yama. By now we know we have different bodies. We have a Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira. Sthula Sharira is the physical body, bones and flesh. Sukshma Sharira is the mind, which carries all the emotions, memories, vasanas, samskaras. And then there is Karana Sharira, which is beyond these two. It is the soul part of it which is untouched by the mind and the body. But it is the awareness part of it in us, the presence of Brahman. So this Nachiketa had gone there and he was asking Yamadharmaraja all kinds of questions. And Yama tried to dissuade him by saying, why don't you think of other things like I will send you back or I'll send you to heaven. I'll give you as much wealth as you want. And if those kinds of pleasures are not available on earth, I will bring it from heavens and give it to you. There'll be damsels, there'll be music, there'll be pleasure, there'll be merrymaking. Ask and you can rule the whole earth for as long as you want. You don't have to die. Yet Nachiketa does not budge from his resolve to know the truth. He says, at the end of it all, you will be waiting for me, I know. I may spend 1,000 years enjoying the world and my pleasures of the world, but at the end of it all, I have to come to you again. I will not be able to redeem myself. So I do not want all those things. You tell me the truth. The resolve of Nachiketa. And then Yamadharmaraja tells, and then he tells the biggest obstacle in this path is that by design the world has been created to take man away from God. In a way that the pleasures, the distractions, the ignorance that permeates the world, for an Ajnani it is very difficult to wade through this entire thing and find God. He tells him that Paranchikhani Vetrunat Swayambhu Tasmat Paran Pashyati Na Antaratman. The senses have been created by the divine in such a way that they are always outward going. They always want to run behind the pleasures of the world or distractions of the world. They get very quickly fascinated by all that they see, hear, taste, smell and touch in the world. They're very powerful, he says. Kaschid dhira pratyagatmanam aikshad avrita chakshu amrutatvam icchan, he says. Amongst those so many people who are so entangled in the world and the pleasure and the merrymaking and chasing shadows and butterflies, as I say, they cannot just turn their mind inwards and think of God and greater things. So their senses drive them outwards. That's how the senses have been designed. But one great, discriminating, courageous, spiritual seeker takes the efforts to turn the gaze inwards, to turn the senses inwards and withdraw within. And such a person is desirous of immortality, so for which sake he puts this effort on the spiritual path. If you are not desirous of immortality, you would not put these efforts. If you are okay with being born and dying again and going through the same cycle over and over again, then it is not for you, the spiritual path, because it doesn't interest you at all. But then, what is the fate of such ignorant people? Our scriptures say, at some point in time, they will be fed up of the world. They will realize, the soul will remember from the previous lives the difficulties, the trials and tribulations they have gone through in pursuit of pleasures, and yet haven't found satisfaction and fulfillment. That memory will remain of the wrongdoings, and that will, in a way, motivate them to look towards God. This is how a soul turns towards God. In Mundakopanishad says very nani pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmana nirveda mayat nasti kinchit akrita kritena. It means after having gone through the world and all the things of the world, all the pleasure and pain, losses and gain, one finally comes to a conclusion. What does he come to a conclusion? He says that that self, which is akrita, which never has been manifested in the physical world in a physical way, cannot be attained by physical actions and activities. Self means the supreme joy, cannot be attained by the temporary things. How can permanent be attained through temporary means? The method you are applying itself is wrong. You are using temporary ways to attain permanent joy. No, permanent ways should attain permanent joy. Temporary ways will give you temporary joy. So senses and mind will give you temporary joys, whereas the soul, the self, which is eternal and permanent, alone can give you permanent joy. So this person comes to this conclusion after a long, long time, many life cycles, and comes to this pariksha lokan after having thoroughly analyzed. Yesterday, Janaka is telling, I have analyzed. I have analyzed and come to this conclusion that self alone is, everything else is just an illusion. So this person analyzes parikshalokan, karmachitan, having done all the work. Karmachitan means having made a pile of all the actions and reactions of it. Finally analyzes and says, what have I been doing all this while? I was thinking all this is going to give me great joy, but seems like it doesn't. And then he finally comes to a conclusion, and then he searches for somebody to teach him the truth, because he has no clue where to find the truth. So he searches for a guru. Tad vijnanartham gurumeva vigachet samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtaha, it says. Then to know the truth, the way to the truth, the way to that supreme permanent eternal joy, he seeks out a guru, searches for a guru. And that readiness of the shishya makes the guru appear. In some way he finds the guru, the divine guides such a person to the guru. And how does he reach to the guru? He comes like a dry wood, as we said. It is a symbolic way of saying that your mind is dried up now. It is no more wet with the vasanas of the world. It has learnt its lesson. Now it wants only God. And it wants a guru to guide you towards God. So such a mindset alone can lead you to God. So like dry wood catches fire quickly, like that this mind of a sadhaka, which has analyzed thoroughly the way of the world, the nature of the world and its impermanence, seeks the permanent joy and comes to a guru with that readiness. And when that readiness is there, and guru speaks, what kind of guru? Shrotriyam Brahmanishta. He is Shrotriya, he is learned in the scriptures, he lives the scriptures. Sat Shastri Kurvanti Shastrani, says Narada Bhakti Sutra. A noble one, a great one, he makes the spiritual texts become more spiritual and sacred because he lives those texts and become the living embodiment, walking, talking scripture he becomes. So he gives true fulfillment to the scriptures. Sat Shastri Kurvanti Shastrani, it says. So such a guru he reaches to and then submits himself in a complete surrender. And the guru is Brahmanishta. He is absolutely established in the idea of Brahman. He does not know it as theory, he knows it as an experiential reality. Such a guru is capable of imparting that wisdom to the ready disciple. After having thoroughly analyzed the world and its ways and realizing that this does not lead us to permanent joy. I'm happy one day, I'm sad in another day, some days are good, some days are bad, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with this seesaw. I want stability in life. I want peace. I want permanence. Then only you seek God. People who are busy in the world, billions of them out there, they're so happy doing what they're doing. They do not have any idea also that they are all going to be suffering at the end. It all looks so pleasurable at this point in time that even if you go and tell them, they will say, I don't need to know God. I don't need God at this point in time because mind is so busy thoroughly enjoying itself in the ways of the world. But soon, as Nachiketa says, Sarvendriyani Jarayanti Tejaha, all the senses will be drained of all the energy after some time. And that time you'll realize, where do I go? So that is what happens to most of the people. Whole life they have spent seeking pleasures, and at the old age when the body is not cooperating, it is incapable of enjoying any more pleasures. You can't eat your food, it doesn't digest. You can't sleep, you don't get sleep at all. Everything is paining everywhere. You are not able to do anything with your body. People don't want to talk to you anymore because you are of no use to them. Your family and friends shun you, abandon you. Nobody asks you you are good or you are not good. And you are lying alone in the cot in your own room as if you matter to no one. That is the time the mind thinks, what have I ended up in? All this while I raised children, earned money, distributed so many things, I enjoyed pleasures. Now here I am lying all alone in a cot in a single room. And while I have grandchildren and children and so many friends and relatives, nobody comes and asks me how you are. Because now I am of no use to anybody. I can't give them any pleasure through my body or through my mind or anything. So nobody wants me now. And such an old man lying in that cot, all helpless in his own feces and urine, then remembers God. Oh God, where are you? Redeem me from this situation. Take me across. But it's too late. God will say, too late for this birth. Next birth, come again. And the person dies. And finally, born again in another family. And if he has any memory of all these pain that he suffered at the end of his life, the realization that he has had, then he will immediately seek a guru. He would not go through the cycle again. But our memories are very short lived. So, again, when we see the pleasures of the world, we quickly forget all the pain of the old age that we suffered in the previous life. And again, we want to engage with the world and enjoy the pleasures. Again, the cycle repeats. We end up in the old age. And finally, at the old age, when nobody wants us, again we search for God. And this cycle repeats on and on and on for a million times till this memory of that pain becomes stronger than the memory of the pleasures. And finally, this memory guides the soul and says, enough, you have done this any number of times. That is how Buddha realized. He went and meditated on his self and he saw all his past lives. They are all the part of Jataka tales, very interesting stories. That he was born as a bird or a deer or an eagle or a cow or a man, woman, so many ways, thief and a saint. Oh, I've gone through all this so many times, isn't it? Why do I need to go through it again? The soul asks. And that is when he seeks this company of the wise one and realizes himself. That this has to happen to everybody. If it doesn't happen, you don't develop interest for spiritual things, you're doomed. That's all I can say. Yes, next 50 years, you might have a good life, good health, good wealth, good fame, name. But at the end of it all, Yama is waiting with his Pasha. And he will not leave you. He will put that noose around your neck and drag you. No red carpet welcome to the other world. That's what we are going to all go through. And that is the time when the soul feels so suffocated with the Yamapasha around your neck. You're being tortured. And again, you're pushed into another body of another mother. And then you're born again and restart the whole thing. So, this is the cycle. That is what one wants to get out of it. So, the Janaka has asked, Katham Muktir Bhavishyasi, how do I attain liberation? How do I get out of this cycle of birth and death? I don't want to lie alone in a cot in some corner of the house, unattended, uncared for. As I said, in my own feces and urine, nobody comes to even clean me and ask me what's going on. I do not want to have a life like this. Please tell me, how do I redeem myself once for all from this body and mind so that I don't have to come back again and deal with these things again. But Ashtavakra is another level. He teaches him to see God, see divinity while he is very much here, not after death. There is one mukti which is Videha Mukti. After you die, you realize the self and you become God or whatever. The other is Jeevan Mukti. While you are alive, you are free because you are not attached to anything or anyone. Things happen, but you don't do it. Things happen, you don't enjoy it. You don't get entangled by anything. You're ever free, like the space which is ever free from the bounds of the buildings. That is the idea of ultimate spiritual wisdom. One must think about it. It is very difficult for young people to think about such a day. But I always tell. One day I called all the primary school kids and told them, do you believe that one day you are all going to die? They said, oh, yes, we know that. I said, okay, what would you be wanted to be remembered as? So on the date of your death, there is a epitaph for that stone that they put on your gravestone. They will write something. What do you want to be written on that stone? Good riddance, once for all. You never know, you'll come back again in another body and haunt them. What would you write over there? No, I want to be remembered as a truthful boy. I want to be remembered as a kind and compassionate being. I want to be remembered as a very disciplined and studious boy. Like that, children and their answers. Then I told them, are you working towards this now? You want to be remembered as a studious and hardworking, but are you working hard today so that world will remember you like that at the end of it? So set a goal. The goal is I want to be liberated. Then the question is, are you working towards that liberation? If your gravestone should carry the words, he was a Jeevan Mukta, are you working towards the Jeevan Mukti? If not, then how will you be achieving that? How would that be written on your gravestone? Not possible. Now only you should start working toward that ultimate goal of yours. Whatever that might be: studious, intelligent, hardworking, kind, compassionate, disciplined, obedient, whatever. Today only, every day we have to put efforts to reach that goal at the end of our lives, isn't it? So start now is what I told them. Start early, drive slowly, reach safely. That's why start now. Don't wait for the old age to happen. This is the time, here and now you should realize God. Because once you realize, rest of the life is a cakewalk. Everything you can deal with, good, bad, ugly, without getting affected. So you get used to that understanding of divinity now, so that you don't suffer through your life. At the end of it all, after going through all the pains and sufferings, finally you realize there's hardly any time left. Like you don't study throughout the year and exams are here. Now within a week you want to cover everything that you should have studied the whole year. How will you do that? All stress and pain and fear starts. Then you go and mess up the exam and again you are reborn in the same class. Repeat the class. This is what is happening to most of the souls. Most of them. But there is a way out. That's what Ashtavakra says. There is a way out. You don't have to go through this. This is unnecessary, unwanted. There is a way out of all these things, and this is the way he teaches us, Janaka, that you are like this, you are like that, you are always free, you are not the body, mind. And Janaka has caught the point, and he has already realized that yes, I have understood that it's my imagination in which this world exists as it exists. It's only self that exists. The world is superimposition on the self, like the silver is seen in the mother of pearl, like water is seen in the heat waves of the sun, like whatever the other snake is seen in the rope. Like that, this world is seen in me. But I am the self. I am not this body, I am not the mind, and so I am free. So this sense of freedom gives him so much of joy that he'll continue in the next few shlokas also in the same way. Our whole problem is this ajnana, and the solution is jnana. Before starting, let me also teach you a nice concept of our spirituality. There are 7 steps to realization, they say. The first step is ajnana, of course. You know nothing. You are wrongly interpreting and understanding things, wrongly identifying yourself as body, mind. That is the ajnana. It's also called mala, the impurity in your mind that does not allow you to see things. Then the next one is avarana, as if something is covering it. There is the truth on the other side of the curtains, the veil, but you're not able to move it and see what is lying on the other side. That is the other thing, avarana. Third is called vikshepa. You see things but in a distorted way. You misunderstand it. You see things but you do not understand it correctly. Is vikshepa. Fourth is called paroksha jnana, indirect knowledge. A guru tells you, scriptures tell you, you are God, you are divine. But you find it difficult to believe. Then you practice and practice, then you get aparoksha jnana, which is direct experience of that divinity. And when that happens, the 6th step happens, which is dukkha nivritti. Your sorrows are destroyed because now you realize you are ever free. And sukha prapti, immediately you gain happiness. So starts with ignorance, then it starts with unable to perceive the truth clearly. Then it starts with perceiving the truth but in a wrong way. Fourth is indirect perception of the truth through the guru. Fifth is direct perception of the truth through personal efforts and experience. Sixth is removal or destruction of all sorrow. And seventh is gaining of happiness. These are the 7 steps. And there's a beautiful story, so I will narrate. You will remember this, how it happens. It seemed there were 10 friends who were crossing a river. Like our Veda Pathshala students are there, right? So they swam across the river, went to the other side, and they just wanted to make sure that they are the same numbers. That 10 of them crossed the river and all 10 have reached the other bank and nobody has drowned. So they started counting. First fellow started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He said, there are only 9. We are not 10. So the second fellow said, wait, let me count. He started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He says, only 9 are there, 10 is not there. Everybody counted and they found only 9. And they all started crying that one of our classmates is gone, drowned in the river. This is ignorance. Then Guru came, one person who was going, he said, what happened? Why your kids are crying? So, oh, we lost one of our friends in the river. He said, oh, how many of you were there? We were 10, but now we are only 9. He looked around and said, something is wrong with these people's counting. He told, no, you are 10. He says, no, no, we are 9. We are sure we are 9. We counted 9 times. 10 times we have counted, but we are 9 only. They are not listening to this man. Then he said, show me how you counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, we are 9. Then he said, you didn't count yourself. Count yourself also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then everybody had said, really? Then everybody counted and realized that, oh, all 10 are there. They became immediately happy, all their sorrows were destroyed. 7 steps is this. First, you come out of the river. You are ignorant of how many people are there, how many people are not there. So you start making some efforts. What is the effort? Avarna. You are not able to see yourself, as if you are veiled to yourself, and 9 others you see and count them in. The 10th one you are missing. Then Vikshepa. Even when others count, they also count in the wrong way. Wrong understanding of the scriptures, wrong understanding of the truth. Then a guru comes and says, wait, I will count. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You are 10 people. Then they said, how are we 10? Till now we were 9. Then guru teaches. That is the indirect experience. Indirect knowledge is guru teaches you that you are 10 and not 9. Then guru holds your hand and teaches you to count it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is direct knowledge. And then you become very happy. Paroksha, Paroksha Jnana has finished. Now become Dukkha Nivritti. Immediately sorrow is destroyed. Because sorrow was imaginary, isn't it? Actually, you were always 10. You didn't understand, so you were suffering. And immediately there is joy, Sukha Prapti. So this wrong understanding of the world, wrong understanding of the perception of the world is the reason why we are miserable. We search for divinity elsewhere, whereas we ourselves are divine. It's like we are searching for what we already are. And this wrong understanding that we are body and mind is causing all the sorrow. Like this 10th fellow missing is causing all the sorrow to all the 10 people. Whereas a guru who can see things from outside, a third party, he says, you people are counting it all wrong. You are already 10. You never were 9. But because of your wrong understanding and perception and wrong counting methods, you are suffering. Now he removes the suffering. So really, did Guru remove the suffering? Did really Guru give you joy? No, he just removed ignorance. Ignorance goes, suffering goes. Till ignorance was thinking that there is a snake in the rope, it was suffering. The moment there is a jnana, immediately that suffering disappears. And because the rope, snake has disappeared. The truth is that snake never was there. So Guru did not make the snake disappear. Guru did not make the sorrow disappear. He only told you that there was never any sorrow. You were untouched by any sorrow. You imagined to be sorrowful. All these pain and pleasures are only manasani. It's all in your mind. It's not you. It's not your nature. You are ever free. This idea itself is so redeeming, so revealing, so liberating that you can't be touched by these gains and pains and pleasures and sorrows and all these vicissitudes of life. Those dualities don't affect you. That idea itself is amazing. Now, I'll go back to the story of those kids who said, when I die, I want to be remembered as this. Now, put yourself a question to yourself. How do I want to be known as when I pass away? Should I be known as Jeevan Mukta or should I be known as Baddha, bound? If you think your goal is to have Jeevan Mukti, I was a free soul, then work towards it. Then every time a sorrow, pleasure, pain, all these dualities come, tell yourself, none of this is me. I am beyond all these things. These are all passing clouds. These come and go on the surface. I do not change. I remain the same. And if your mind is not agreeing to it and making mischief by saying, no, you are really sorrowful, just now you lost this much, or money, or people, or friend, or kith and kin, you ought to be sorrowful, you have to be sorrowful. If mind says like that, you have to tell the mind, that is not me. I am self, untouched. That's all emotions which are like waves on the surface. Deep down, the ocean is calm only. On the surface, there is some activity. These are all in the surface. Don't get too entangled in these things. You keep telling yourself this. Then only your gravestone will carry Jeevan Mukta. Otherwise, it won't carry. So if you have a goal in your life, then you have to work towards that goal and start early, because it may take time, because so many births and births you have believed that you are a body and mind. All of a sudden, you can't just shun it and think that it is not so. It will take a lot of effort. But if you're not putting efforts with the same sincerity as Janaka, then there is no jnana can happen to you. And that is why it is continuously being repeated again and again, that everything that we see is like an illusion. It is not reality. It is an appearance, and we believe the appearance to be true, and then we keep suffering through the appearances of snake in the rope, and suffer with the fear that all this is true and this snake is going to come after me. I'll go to the next shloka. 2.10, right? It's on page number 73. He says, Matto vinirgitam vishwam mayyeva layameshyati mrudi kumbho jale vichihi kanake katakam yatha. Now he has expanded his vision even further, Janaka. He says, Matto vinirgitam vishwam, the whole universe emanates from me. Like the dream comes out of the dreamer. Like that, this whole universe has come out of the same self, the supreme self. Vinirgatam Vishwam Mayeva Layameshwati. It again merges back in me. Where does the dream go after you wake up? Where does the dream trees, houses, roads, all the things go? All the people go? They all go back into you only, because once your dream ends, all the dream world disappears into you. Likewise, this world that we see around, it is emanated from me, the Supreme Self, and it goes back into the Supreme Self. Whole creation has come out of the same self and goes back into the same self. There is nothing other than that. In fact, our people who follow the Dvaita Bhava also sometimes say that Vishnu is sleeping and dreaming. And in his dream, all these things are happening. You, I, this world, and this sorrow, gain, pain, everything is happening. In the dream of Mahavishnu. They think Vaishnavas say like that. That it is a dream of God in which we all exist. So we are all dream beings, we are not real beings. Reality is the dreamer. The one who is sleeping and dreaming is the real. The dream objects and people are not real. So like that, the dream comes out of the dreamer. Like that, this world has come out of the self. And I am that self, Janaka says. I am means not the king Janaka. The supreme self, which my true nature is, from that everything is emanated. And everything goes back into it. Even if you go back to the theory of evolution or not, theory of creation, what do they say? A big bang happened at some point in time, and from nothing everything came. Now, scientifically, if you say, how can something come out of nothing, you tell me. Scientifically, it is not possible. Yes, from energy, matter came, matter goes back into energy, that is still believable. But if you say there was nothing and suddenly one day there was a big bang out of nowhere and all the universe came into existence, and all this is true. Anybody, and you don't need to be a scientist to think that this is such a foolish idea. You can be just a person with some common sense and call the scientist out and say, how is it possible that from nothing everything has come? You people are saying that science demands facts and truths, and that things cannot come out of nothing. It has to have some opening, some basis, some origins. But till date, people believe this theory, right? Big Bang theory. But how foolish it is, even at the surface of it. If with common sense also, if you think, it doesn't appeal to my intellect. How can something come out of nothing? In fact, there is a story that Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb and so many things, it seems he was traveling in a train and was reading the Bible. And there was another scientist sitting there, they were coming from a conference. The older scientist said, this is such a plight that you are a scientist, a young scientist, and yet you believe in all this superstition of Bible and cock and bull stories of what happens there here. He said, I must come and teach you some real science. This is foolishness that scientists should not be reading Bibles and holy scriptures. This sounds antithetic to the very idea of being scientific. So he comes next day to Edison's lab. And when he enters the lab, he sees there's a beautiful model of the solar system, the planets and sun and all that. And he's very thrilled to see the model. And then he calls the young Edison and says, oh, wonderful model of solar system. Who made this? He said, nobody made this. He said, what are you talking? Somebody should have made this. He said, no, I just woke up one morning, I opened the door of my lab and this was there. He said, how can something come up like this on its own? There has to be somebody who has made it. He said, no, there was nobody. It just came on its own. He said, how is it possible? He said, that's exactly what I am asking. How is it possible that this universe has come into existence from nothing and nobody created it? It just happened. If that can happen, the whole real sun, stars, moons can happen, then what is there after all? This is a model. It should happen on its own. That was the logic he used, saying that there has to be origin to everything. There has to be a creator for the creation. Its nature may be different from what you think it is. There is no man sitting in a white beard and white flowing gowns up in the clouds and creating worlds. That is our imagination of gods. But there is a substratum, there is an origin to everything. That is the self. Call it energy, call it matter. But beyond that, our scriptures call it consciousness, awareness. And in that awareness, I'm going to ask you one question. So last night you dreamt of a city made of gold. There were people who were very super rich. They were driving cars and luxury vehicles, and everybody was smiling and charming. Everybody was young and bright and beautiful. And you made a lot of friends last night in your dream. Now, when you wake up, I tell, where is that city and where are the people and where are your friends? What will you say? Sir, this is dream. In dream, anything can happen, anything. So, where is that dream? Where did it go? Where did it come from? You say it came from me when I was sleeping, and when I woke up, it went back into me. It didn't go off somewhere like a balloon into the sky. It went back into me. That's what you will tell. Same analogy Janaka is using. He's saying the supreme self is the substratum from which all these universes emerge. You call it E is equal to mc squared, whichever theory you apply, a Big Bang theory you apply, expansion of universes, multiverses theory you apply, unified field theory you apply, string theory you apply, say anything, uncertainty theory you apply. Do whatever theory you want, but the source of it all is the same self, which has no name and form and nothing, no attributes. It was only awareness. Mahavakyas are there. Our rishis said this in one simple phrase. Prajnanam Brahma, says Aitreya Upanishad. Aitreya Upanishad, the beautiful Upanishad which talks about the story of creation. For your own interest, you can read it. How there was nothing other than this supreme consciousness. Then this consciousness brought forward that energy. Energy turned into matter, matter became the world, and this supreme consciousness itself went and inhabited this creation. It became a part of everything. So here Janaka says, everything has come out of me, everything is going back into me. That is how this whole creation is happening and dissolving itself. Beautiful shloka again comes from, I think, Mundakopanishad. It says, Yatha urnanabhi sujate gruhnate cha. Like the spider brings out the web from its own stomach. It produces the material for building its web. And then swallows it all back and goes and makes another web somewhere else, the spider web. So he says, Yatha urnanavi sujate granate cha oshadaya sambhavanti, Yatha prithivyam oshadaya sambhavanti. Like the oshadaya means vegetation comes out of the soil on its own. Tatha aksharat sambhavatihi vishwam, it says. Like that, from the indestructible self, the world has on its own come. On its own it has come. This world has come. There is no effort there. That somebody, what efforts do you have while you're making a dream world? Only effort is just don't do any effort, sleep. And the dream will happen on its own. You did not plan the dream that today I'll sleep and I will dream this, and I will eat this in dream. I will go and meet these people. You don't do any of these things. You just are lying down, you go into sleep, and then you start dreaming. The whole thing emanates from you. And then when you wake up, the whole thing disappears back in you. Like that, from that supreme self, this whole world has come into existence and goes back in it. As he also mentioned, there are two things needed for any creation. One is called the material cause, and the other is called efficient cause, or the instrumental cause. Material cause is called upadana karana, and the instrumental cause or efficient cause is called nimitta karana. Two things are required. Like a potter has to make a pot, he needs clay to make a pot. Then he needs to be there should be a potter. So if you see a pot anywhere, what should you conclude? There has to be two to it. One, the material with which the pot is made, which is clay. Second, a potter who has made this pot. It can't be just on its own. There has to be a doer to this. There has to be an originator to this. But in self, self only is the material, self only is the maker. So material and maker both is the self. Like in the case of the spider, the material also is coming from the spider, and spider is the one which weaves the web. Like that, the self or the Atman or the supreme Brahman, which we know as consciousness, that had all the ability to bring forth the world. And from where? From its own. Now, if something is made of something, then that should be pervading it all. Example, if you have made a pot out of some clay, then every piece of pot is clay only. Can you say clay is not there in some part of the pot? No, every part of the pot is clay. Like that, if there is a gold, you make a bangle. Every part of the bangle is gold. There cannot be a bangle without a gold. If you remove gold from the bangle, where is the bangle? Like that, divinity only is manifesting as this whole universe. If you remove divinity from this universe, there is no universe. Like in the dream, dreamer only is manifesting in the whole dream. If you remove the dreamer from the equation, there is no dream. It has no basis, it has no support. That is the idea. Self is the reason why the whole world and universe has come into existence. If self is not there, the whole thing will collapse. But the idea is that if the whole thing is come out of that supreme Brahman, who has no form, no name, it's just consciousness, awareness. That is all it is. But it is capable of bringing forth worlds after worlds after worlds. Like a dreamer is capable of bringing out dreams after dreams after dreams. But none of them could survive if the dreamer was not there in the first place. Like that, none of this creation will stand on its own unless there was consciousness as the very basis of it all. This is the concept of Advaita. Again, I said it's a very nice to know as a concept, but to experience it, it requires efforts. That consciousness is the basis of everything. Remove consciousness and the world collapses. Suppose your consciousness disappears. Will the world not disappear for you? It will. For others, it may exist. But for you, nothing exists because you don't even realize it, you don't feel it, you don't experience it. So that is a concept that is the experiencer who is the reason for all that which is being experienced. If there was no experiencer, there is no experience at all. We are all here, but we are not here. We are all an experience. We are all in a dream. So dream is only so much real and so much not real. Think about it. You cannot tell that anything is a particle. You cannot put a finger and say, here it is. The moment you say here it is already gone. It starts behaving like a wave. You just can't put your finger and tell this. So all this solid that we feel, our body, book, land, earth, or things around, they're all waves. They're all not particles. Then how are they appear to be solid? It's because all these are held together by forces in a certain way. That intelligence. How many atoms should combine together to form a molecule? Which molecules should combine together under which conditions to form a compound? And that compound should react with which other compounds to form some other solid state matter. This is fascinating. Where is that intelligence coming from? How does these molecules know? How do they know how to combine? At what temperature, what pressure, in what situations to form a certain thing and not another thing? How is this happening? How is this possible? In old times, alchemists used to change lead from gold and gold to lead like this. There were experiments. Their atomic weight is different by only one. How are they able to shift that one? How do they attain this? The whole idea is so perfect, so structurally perfect. Gold cannot become silver, silver cannot become lead, lead cannot become something. But there is a method. If you change something, it all becomes one another. All this is fascinating. So when I started studying science from the Advaita point of view, everything started making sense. Actually, we are not solid bodies. We are just spaces. 99.99999 as many nines you put, that much space exists in us. It's only that 0.0000 as many zeros and that final one, that is the solid in us. These clothes are not solid, the body is not solid, bones are not solid, this earth stage is not solid, nothing is solid. They're all spaces. And that 0.0001%, whichever we call it as solid, that also cannot be pointed out by Schrodinger. He says, if I tell you it is solid, it disappears and becomes a wave. I can't catch hold of it. Yet we all exist. Electron is not a particle, yet we all exist. So my whole question was that, how is it possible? This sounds like some magic, this sounds like fantasy. This sounds unreal. But science is telling that is how the world exists. Or nothing is real. And our Advaitins have told long ago, Vishwam Chaktya Sapna Vicharam, they simply compared it with a dream, saying in dream everything feels solid and real. The dream tiger or lion also feels real. And the terrible tension and agony also is real. Likewise, this whole world appears to be real in that way. And we start believing it to be real and start going through the motions of sorrows and pleasures and pains and chase dreams and ambitions and God knows how many dirty things we do for the sake of satisfying our ego and ambitions. They endlessly we chase. This is what Janaka is saying. Okay, I now get this. I get the point. Eureka. I found out now. that this is how it works. Whole thing has come out of my consciousness. It is sustained by my consciousness and it merges back in my consciousness. Like, he says, Mrudi kumbho jale vichi kanake katkam tatha. Like, Mrudi means clay and kumbha means pot. It's the same line, second line of the same shloka. Like the pot and the clay. If I break the pot, what does it become? Becomes clay again. From the clay came the pot. Pot goes back and becomes clay again. Then jale vichihi. Jala means water. Like wave. Vichihi means wave. Wave goes back into water. It comes out of water, it stays on water and goes back into water. It does not have a separate existence. Or a bracelet. Kankana means a bracelet. It becomes gold again once it is melted. It loses. That's why from Mundakopanishad, Yatha Nadyah Sandamane Samudre Aste Gachanti Nama Rupe Vihaya. Like the rivers become the ocean by giving up their name and form. Tatha Vidwan Nama Rupad Vimuktaha Paratparam Purushamupait Divyam, it says. The one who is the Jnani, he gives up this identification of names and forms and merges himself with the ultimate supreme self. Name and form, Nama, Rupa are the problems. Asti, Bhati, Priyam is not a problem. Jagat Rupam, two of them are there, no? Nama, Rupa. Tattadvayo, Jagat Rupam. Nama and Rupa are the confusion. Pots are of different shapes and size are the confusion. Clay is not the confusion. Ornaments of different types are confusion. Gold is not a confusion. Waves or bubbles or foam or other forms of water is confusion. Water itself is not a confusion. Like that, the world is a confusion. Self is not a confusion. Once you see the world from the self's point of view, everything is self only. And such a person who realizes Nandati, Nandati, Nandatyeva, it says. He rejoices. In everything he sees the self. He rejoices. He doesn't see the differences. He doesn't see distinctions. He doesn't see any of all the name and form and the confusion and chaos that it has caused in the world. I am this, you are that, you are this country person, I am that country person. I am rich, you are poor, I am learned, you are illiterate. I am fair and beautiful, you are ugly and dark. I am tall, you are short. All these ideas disappear. They are all pots or gold ornaments or different waves. So suddenly you feel free. You feel free from judgments. You feel free from narrow-mindedness. You feel free from discrimination. All these lowly ideas, us versus them, everything disappears in that one idea of Brahmagyana when you realize that everything is one and the same. Chapter 9 shloka on 75th page, again it's a cross-reference from Drigadrishya Viveka. What happens to your eye is the question. When I am awake, what happens? So on 75th page there is a shloka which says Ahankara laye suptau bhavet dehopya chetanaha ahankara vikar sardhaha swapna sarvastu jagraha, which says this idea that I am so and so. When you sleep, where that idea goes, he is asking. When you sleep off, do you remember you are a man or a woman, boy or a girl, rich or poor, tall or short, dark or fair? You know nothing. Your eye has disappeared. Right? In the deep sleep, it goes away. But at that point in time, your body also disappears because you have no idea of your body. For the person who is in deep sleep, his body does not exist because he has no consciousness of it, no awareness of it. So your identification with the body disappears. You can tell me, you can argue, oh, it's very difficult to get rid of our body identification. It is not possible. But I tell no, every day you do that. Every day when you go to sleep, you lose your identification with the body and the mind. It happens spontaneously, effortlessly. You don't even sit down in a position, meditate and say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. Nothing. You just disappear. So you have the capability of getting rid of your body consciousness. Don't say you don't have. Something in you has that capacity to lose its ego identity and disappear into the self. Because every night you are doing that knowingly, unknowingly. Even a dog, a cow or a cat also is able to do that. Why only humans? It is possible. So don't give me excuse, it is not possible. Because you do it every night, sometimes in the day also. So your ego identity disappears when you sleep. So you can't tell me that you are incapable of getting rid of body consciousness, mind consciousness and all. No, every night you get rid of it. Every time you go to deep sleep, it disappears. Your deha api achetanaha. Your body also disappears. You have no idea where you were sleeping, how long you slept, and who you were. All this disappears fully in that state. Then ahankara vikasardha swapnaha. In the dream state, half conscious you are. You are aware sometimes that you are dreaming. And you know that this is a dream and not real. That happens. So he says your ahankara or identification is half there, half not there in a dream state. Why? Because in the dream, while you know I'm sleeping in my hostel room and this dream is going on, and sometimes you're aware of the dream that you are actually dreaming this dream. So that time your ego identity with the body and self is partially there, partially not there. But sarvastu jagraha. But when you wake up, the whole body consciousness comes back in its fullest. You start identifying this is the body, you wake up, you see your face in the mirror, you feel, yes, this is me, and then this is my hostel, this is my people, this is my home, these are my. So everything comes back to you, the ahankara comes back to you, that body consciousness comes back to you. But every night you lose it. Every night, effortlessly, you lose it. So it means, what I am trying to drive point is, it is possible. What Janaka is experiencing, I don't identify myself with this body anymore. I don't identify myself with this mind and emotions. I identify myself with the supreme state of self, which is simply pure consciousness and awareness, without any vikaras, without any modifications. I identify myself like with the gold and not the bangles, with the clay and not the pots, with the water and not the waves. I realize how vast I am, how indestructible I am. That joy of realization to him, that is what he is expressing. So I am trying to point out that yes, we also have that experience every night. That is why in deep sleep you feel so refreshed, because that is the closest you have gone to your original state. And when your original state is restored, when you don't have to act like somebody else, you are very free and peaceful. When you have to act like somebody else, that's when the trouble starts. Because you are trying to be somebody which you actually are not. You behave and try to copy somebody else, you suffer. That's why Swadharme Nidanam Shreya, Paradharmo Bhayavaha. That's why do your own dharma, Krishna says. Be yourself. Don't try to imitate somebody else's dharma. Because whenever you try to act like somebody, you are being unreal. You are being different from what you originally are. And that's when you suffer. But when you go to deep sleep, you don't suffer. You wake up and you are refreshed, you enjoy. Every time we have a deep sleep, especially children, they are capable of sleeping so deep. I always look at them and I feel jealous how deeply they sleep. As if I can't sleep like that. And as you become adult and you start, like baby, an infant you see in the cradle, 18 hours it sleeps and wakes up only to ask for food, eats and sleeps off again. And mother's problem, everything else is cleaning, feeding, protecting. It has no care that somebody may attack me, somebody may do this to me, nothing. Similarly, children, they sleep so well. And when they wake up, they are happy. Think of any infant or child who has not slept well. He'll be irritable, be crying and complaining and yelling and screaming all the time. Why? Because when he was in deep sleep, he was closest to his original pure nature. So he was happy and refreshed. When he is not able to reach his original nature, he feels very irritated. Why all this anger in the world? Why this hatred? Why this jealousy? Why these desires? Because we are not being our true selves. If we were all in touch with our true selves, we won't be such angry people, frustrated and upset and irritated and hatred, and all this won't happen. Because we are always in touch with our deep state of pure consciousness. Like the child goes to sleep, is happy, doesn't sleep, cries, is irritable. Have you ever thought about it that when you also sleep well, you wake up very refreshed, your mood is good, you are smiling, you're talking to everybody nicely. When you did not have a good sleep, you wake up and you bite the very first person who is in front of you. It happens or not? Why does it happen? Oh, you will say your body did not rest well, your mind did not. What did it mean by not resting well? What do you mean by what did not rest well in your body and mind? This Dehabhimana did not rest well. The body identification could not be fully eliminated, therefore you are irritated. Because tonight you could not be in touch with your true pure consciousness. And that is why you are irritated in the morning. But that consciousness that you experience as part of your deep sleep, unfortunately, is not in your control. But fortunately, it is still happening to you. Otherwise, we all will be very angry people. Luckily, God has created a mechanism of night and says, yo, your mind has to go to rest. And I see so many people, they take sleeping pills after sleeping pills because they cannot get rid of this body consciousness. They're so full of desires, so full of ideas, negativities, that they are not able to slip into the state of self effortlessly. They need a pill to put their system off. But children, naturally. So we feel happy when we sleep very deep only because we have gotten rid of the false identity with the body and the mind. That's all it is. That is what is refreshing feeling when you wake up, rejuvenated, re energized. When it does not happen, we are irritated, we don't feel the energy, we don't feel happy about it. It has nothing to do with body and the mind, it has to do with not losing the body identification while sleeping. That is the cause of all the misery. Imagine if we are always in the state of Supreme Self, identified with that, even when we are awake, theoretically I am saying, then we will be happy always. Even when we are awake, we will be behaving well. Nothing would disturb our peace, nothing would disturb our calm. Why? Because we are always experiencing the joy of that deep sleep like consciousness. But that does not happen. So people do meditation to withdraw from the body and the mind and go to that state of self, samadhi, they say, because they are enjoying it. In fact, when the morning I came and sat here, when Pranav was singing, very naturally slipped into that deep state of consciousness. It was so nice that I thought, yo, I have to teach Ashtavakra now. I could have skipped that today and just listened to some more songs and just enjoyed my morning. But unfortunately, that is what I say. It's not given to me to do as I please. I have to do what the divine dictates. It's not given to everybody to do that. Otherwise, I would have been very happy. If it was Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, who cares? Hospital is running, salaries are paid, people are happy or sad. Who cares? He is lost in his own self. You'll see Mother Kali lose himself, dance in joy, fall on the floor, be lost like that for days. And nobody could tell him, no, no, wake up because you have office to attend, you have to attend to this, there are people, devotees arriving, a function is being performed, you have to go and give a lecture. What lecture, what nothing. Ramakrishna Paramhamsa won't care. So they were always happy in that state, but it's not given to everybody. Why? Because there is a role to play. There is a, by divine design, there is a role that has to be performed. So that is what I am saying, that when you are in touch with your consciousness, you are very peaceful. And deep sleep is one time when you are in touch with your consciousness. Unfortunately, you don't know it. Nevertheless, the effect of it, you have it. When you wake up in the morning, you feel the peace and calm and rejuvenation because you are in touch with your true self for some time at least. That's why I say deep sleep is very important, and that happens only at certain time. Why our schedule also has been designed like that. See, the best sleep you get is between night 10 to 12. That is the best time to sleep. So if you start preparing to sleep by 9:30, by good 10, 10:15, you will slip into the deep sleep state, and then your ahankara will disappear, your body and mind will disappear into the self, you will rejuvenate. After 12, again you come back to the swapnavastha, sometimes dreaming state, or what you call REM and things like that. And then you start waking up. Towards 5, you are out of that deep sleep state. So that deep sleep happens once or twice only in the whole of the night, generally over a period of 4 hours. You may get two such opportunities when your mind really slips deep into the consciousness. Then again it slowly comes up, your ego starts coming up, the dream states term. Again once more it sleeps into deep sleep, again it comes up, and that's the end of sleep. Beyond that, if you sleep, you are not really resting, you are making your body lazy. That is tamas. That's why yoga nidra, they say 4 hours sleep, they say yoga nidra. Yogis sleep like that. They'll sleep at 9, 9:30, they'll wake up at 12:31. They don't need sleep more than that. And after that, they're as fresh as ever. They don't need more sleep than that. And then they continue to do whatever they've got to do. Most of the yogis live like that. So the idea was that because in deep sleep we are in touch with our divinity, therefore we feel so happy when we wake up from a deep sleep, because we have lost our ego and that body identification, and that is the source of joy. All the miseries, identification with the body. All the joys, not identification with the body and mind. That is the whole concept that Janaka is trying to explain. So I thought I will elaborate a little bit on this, that how our ego itself goes fully out of identification in deep sleep and then comes back when we are awake. When we are awake, we keep suffering. And when we go to deep sleep, we enjoy again. No, I've written this shloka somewhere in the 78 and 79 page about the clay and pots and things like that. 78th page, there is a shloka from Chandogya Upanishad, where this Shvetaketu, who's the son of Uddalaka, has gone to study in a Gurukulam. And when he comes back, his father asks, "What have you learnt?" And the Shvetaketu says, "Oh father, I learnt about this, learnt about that." He rattles it out. Then father says, "Have you learnt about that, knowing which everything else is known?" He said, What? Come again? No, by knowing which everything else gets to be known. He said, "No, nobody taught me anything like that in Gurukula. I mugged up this Shastra, I memorized that Veda, I did these sutras, I did all this." No, 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 all that is okay. Have you learned that, knowing which everything else gets to be known? He says, "No, I have not learned like that." "What is that? Please teach me." And then Uddalaka tells him, "Get a pot of water and put some sugar or salt, as the case might be," and tells, "Where did the salt disappear? Where did it go?" It says, "It has gone in the water." "Show me where it is." He says, "It can't be seen. It's become a part of the water." "But how do you know it exists?" "You have to taste it." That's what he says. And then he teaches that, like that, God is dissolved in this whole universe. Everything is divinity. We can't touch, taste, smell, and feel it with senses, but we can experience it in our heart. That is what Uddalaka teaches Shvetaketu. And Uddalaka only teaches him further that Yatha Saumyekena Mritpindena Sarvam Mrinmayam Vijnatam Syat, means Saumya means, "Oh dear son," like only one, by knowing the one lump of clay, you can know the nature of all the pots. You can know the nature of all the objects made of clay. Likewise, all the modifications that we see in the world, vacharambhadam vikaro, only for the sake of name and form, all these distortions are there in the world. Namadheyam, for the sake of calling it by different name, but mrittika ityeva satyam. The truth is clay alone. The pots made of it, a jar made of it, a pan made of it, a pot made of it, all these are various names and forms, these are distortions. But the truth is, they're all clay. Once you know the clay, you know the nature of all these items made of clay. Once a jeweler knows the quality of the gold, he knows the value of all the bangles made of gold. Like that, once you know God, you know the value of the world, that it is equal to God only. All Mahavakyas are called Jiva Brahma Aikya Vakyamiti Mahavakyam. Means that which equates us with the divine, that sentence is Mahavakya, the great saying, the great statements or sentences, which says you are none other God. That statement is the Mahavakya. So from Chandogya Upanishad, one Mahavakya comes, Tattvam Asi. Tattvam Asi is from Chandogya Upanishad. The same conversation, if it continues, somewhere it comes, that you are that Kshetra. You are not the pot and the pan, you are the clay. Father teaches the son Shvetaketu, you are not this body and the mind, you are the self. That idea is taught in Chandogya Upanishad. Just a cross reference again for people. One more shloka on 79, again a cross reference. I was just mentioning how a spider brings out the web from its stomach, lives in it, and swallows it all back. Material also is spider, the maker is also spider. Like this universe is made of God by God, is made of God and made by God. Who made God? Nobody. God was always there. It was an endless reality. God was always there. Always is and always will be. Consciousness always was, is, and will be. Material world comes and goes. Jagat. That is the concept. That God always was, is, and will be. It means that consciousness is unbroken, nirantaram, last time he says, is continuity. It does not go away. Like space is a continuity. It does not go away because you build walls and you call it drawing room, bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom. The space has not become less or more. It was always the same. Rooms were made and rooms were broken. Tomorrow somebody raises it down and builds another building over there with different composition of rooms and walls. The space is always there. Space is a continuum. It does not. So if you tell me, when did the space come? When you started building the house, where did you get the space from? What should I answer you? Space was always there. House came later. And once the house is destroyed, space is still there. And while the house was there also, space was still there. Space did not come from anywhere. Just because you're building the house, you did not buy this space from somewhere. You might have bought a piece of land, that's for sure. But space in which all things exist was always there. It wasn't coming when you started the house, and it did not disappear when you destroyed the house or renovated it. Likewise, this awareness consciousness is a continuity. We come as mind and bodies, we come and go. Clay is the continuity. Pots and pans come and go. Gold is the continuity, bangles and chains and rings come and go. Ocean is the continuity, waves and other things come and go. That's all it is. That idea is being told here in these. That is why these vakyas are so very powerful. They help us to identify ourselves correctly. Like the 10 friends, they help us to count correctly, think correctly, observe correctly, and finally identify ourselves correctly that you are divine and none other than that. Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. That is the idea. Now, how liberating, just thought of it. I was just reading some of this in the morning because I had to come here and speak, so I should know which shlokas are coming. Just the thought of it is sending me into a state of such joy. Just the thought of it, just reading it in the book itself was sending me in a state of joy. The moment I thought about it, how liberating. How I'm not this petty, silly, stupid body, mind keeps making mistakes again and again, doesn't learn things, hurts people, gets attached, suffers. None of this is me. I'm only wrongly identifying myself with all these things, so I'm suffering. That itself is so beautiful. One more shloka, a cross reference on page number 99 from Bhagavad Gita also is very beautiful, which says, we all were non-existent in the beginning, or 99 page. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatraka paridevana. This is all Krishna teaching Arjuna when he says, I don't want to fight the battle. How can I kill my kith and kin? He says, whom are you killing? These people were not there earlier. Suddenly they appeared. Now again they will disappear from this face of the earth. That is how we were unmanifest in the beginning, then we become manifest, then we become unmanifest again. This is a cycle. Waves were unmanifest, then they become manifest, then they become unmanifest again. Clay was always there, pot become manifest. When the pot breaks, it goes back and becomes clay. So these names and forms, they are coming and going as a part of the cycle of creation and dissolution. Your kith and kin, the Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, your friends and cousins, they all are like forms that have just appeared now from the consciousness, and they will all disappear after some time. Even if you don't kill, they are all going to disappear any which ways. This is how Krishna teaches. Arjuna says, then why, as a wise person, why should you lament over it? Why should you cry about it? Because anyway it's going to happen. Why should you try to hold on to it and suffer? Whether you kill your or not, they will anyway going to die today or tomorrow. That is the nature of the body and mind. Don't be attached. And that which is indestructible anyway cannot be killed. So what are you killing? He says to Arjuna. You thinking you are going to kill and cause sin to yourself. But these people are anyway going to die, whether you kill or not. So what big deal? And the one which does not die in them, the Atman, cannot be killed any which ways. So whom are you killing after all? What sin are you going to incur? He explains that Sankhya Yoga is beautiful. If you can't read whole of Bhagavad Gita, please do read Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter. The discourse is also there. It covers all the concepts of Indian spirituality. Everything. And also in a very logical way. That is why it's called Sankhya Yoga. Very analytical way it comes. Like our Janaka has analyzed whatever Ashtavakra said. And through analysis has come to this conclusion. That is the idea. The Archimedes who was lying in his bathtub, and suddenly he sees the more water comes, the more he floats. And he discovered the principle of buoyancy and jumped out naked out of the tub and jumped and shouted, Eureka, Eureka, I have discovered, I have discovered. Like that, the principle of buoyancy was always there. Principle of gravity was also there. It was Newton who realized it when the apples fell before that also. But Newton observed. Archimedes observed. Janaka observed. He just didn't listen and say, I got it, go home. No. Jnanis were always giving jnana. But Ajnanis never learned because they never were attentive. The moment you pay attention to this jnana, it will dawn on you. You will realize. So pay attention is what I keep saying. That itself is half of your problem solved. One more shloka I'll take it. It is like this is a beautiful chapter because a lot of description of self. Page number 101 and the shloka is 2.11. Again an exclamation, Aho, the joyful delight of Janaka. Aho, and what he says, Aham namo mahyam, vinasho yasya nasti me. Aho, I am delighted, I bow down to myself. Myself means now the higher self. The lower Janaka, the mind is now bowing down to the higher Janaka, the self. It says, Aho, aham namo mahyam, I am bowing down to myself, who is vinasho yasya nasti me, who cannot be destroyed. There is no destruction for it. To that self I bow down to. He's so joyful to realize he will never die, he can never be destroyed because body can be destroyed. Like avyaktadini bhutani, we manifest in unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. That is the cycle. So he says, I bow down to my higher self, which knows no destruction, which cannot be destroyed. Brahmadi stamba paryantam jagannashepi tishtataha. He says, even Brahma, now don't get confused with this Brahma. This Brahma is the creator, like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. They are known as three entities, three deities in our scriptures. Brahma is known as the creator of the world, Vishnu is known as the sustainer, and Shiva is known as the one who dissolves the world. This is called Brahma. All Prajapati also it is named Brahma Prajapati. What I call our Brahma, not Brahma. Brahma is the idea of Supreme Self, the vast, which is born out of the root word Bruhat, which means vast, infinite. So Brahma is the Supreme Self. Brahma here is the creator. It is a Puranic way of saying that when the world had to come into existence, the Supreme Self brought forth three types of gods or deities. One's job was like creator, his name was Brahma Prajapati. The second was Vishnu, whose job is to sustain the universe. And third is Shiva, whose job is to destroy. Because destruction should be a part of any creation. If anything is coming to existence, it has to go out of existence. That's a rule. Only that which has never come into existence can never go out of existence. For example, the space never came into existence, it was always there, so it can never be going out of existence. House can come into existence and go out of existence. Like that, body can come into existence and go out of existence, but self, the consciousness cannot come and go because it never came, so it can never go. Adi madhyantarahitu anadi vadu, Bhagavan would say. It is the one which out the beginning, middle and the end. It is ever, continuum, infinity. Like those who are mathematics students, they will know. Infinity is a principle in our maths, which has no beginning, no middle, no end. Anything is a middle, anything is the beginning, anything is the end, you can say like that. Because it is a continuity. That especially when you solve these equations, differential equations or you do integration, you say tending to infinity. You write that equation. Why? What does that mean? That its nature is infinite. We cannot find the accurate answer to it or a figure to it. It tends to infinity. Like that, infinity is a concept. Mathematics also knows that concept of infinity. And he is saying like that. I am not destroyed. Even if the creator of this whole universe gets destroyed, or the blade of grass, the least of the creation, if you say, the highest to the least, also goes out of existence at some point of time, I do not. Tishtataha, I remain. The self remains. The space remains. The buildings come and go. The consciousness remains. Body and mind comes and goes. What a beautiful concept. He is delighted to know. Aho, he says, oh, I never get destroyed. All this while I was thinking, one day I'm going to die. After this is going to happen, that is going to happen. And all the time I was trying to preserve my body and mind and all the wealth. And now I don't feel attached to any of these things because I don't get destroyed at all. So why is the fear? When you are a Brahmagyani, the biggest acid test of a Brahmagyani, fear of death should disappear. If there is still some fear of death in you, you are not a Brahmagyani. Now you will say, soldiers also are not afraid of death. Are they Brahmagyanis? No, they are not afraid of death for another reason. Because they are so patriotic that they are doing it for their country. But a Brahmagyani is not afraid of death because he does not believe in death. He believes in continuity only. Bhagavan, in the beginning when we were asking, why did you leave the body at 86, 85 years old, you're supposed to be there till 96. He said, when people buy a car and the car is run for 10 years, let us say, and the brake is failing, this is leaking, that is not working, what do? They immediately replace it with a new car, right? Or your phones. If they start hanging, crashing, you don't hold on to it, right? You say, okay, replace it, get the new phone, put the SIM again and start using. Said, when something is not working, we immediately give it up and get something which works. Would anybody continue to use the car which is so poorly run that it can have a brake fail on the highway and you can die? Knowing the risks of a car that does not work properly, would you still drive the car just because you bought the car? You won't, right? You will say it's illogical, it's foolish to go in this car, keep it aside or change it with a new car which works fine. He said, I also gave up the body because my body was not working fine. and I was not able to do my work. I am not attached to the body. Like for me, it's a vehicle, it's a car. I am the self. I am Dehi. I am not the Deha. So for me, it was not a problem. Give up Satya Sai Baba body, how a big deal? How for devotees and everybody, it was a big, huge problem because they were attached to that name form. So they could not give up the attachment, so they suffered. I didn't suffer, he said. For me, it was a car not working. My journey continues, but in another car. Let this car be dropped. I have replaced my car. Simple, one sentence answer he gave. That is why I gave up. Body was not functioning properly. Who wants to sit in a broken car and still go on a drive, knowing the risks of it? So I just gave up. No fear of death. Because they don't know what is death. They only know continuity. Death is just an appearance. Like a wave is born, wave is dying. Ocean knows no death of wave and birth of waves. Ocean knows I am ever eternal, infinite. Like that, the Jiva Prajna is the problem. They think, oh, I have a Jiva Prajna in this body, I am limited, infinite, what will happen to me? But the truth is that your Jiva Prajna is nothing but Daiva Prajna only. At the end, you are one the same with the consciousness. Till you identify with the body and mind and a form and name, all these fears come. Once you don't identify, the fear disappears. You become fearless. Only a fearless person can achieve anything in life. Because there is no fear. Abhi, our scripture say, be fearless, be fearless. But how? Knowing the self, be fearless. That is the answer. Knowing that you are infinite, you are indestructible, become fearless. Now Janaka has realized, I am not the old man who is going to die tomorrow. I am the self which never dies. Even if the creator dies, who has created this universe, and the creation dies, I do not die because I am beyond the creator and the creation. I am the self. That idea itself, he is so happy. And Krishna also says, Deho nosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhiras tatrana muhyati. Like the body comes and goes. Once you are young, kaumaram, yauvanam, jara, you are a young boy, you are a man, then you become old man, then you die. And after death, you attain another body and life continues. So the wise ones don't cry about losing their bodies or the idea of death. For them, it is a continuum. They always were here and they'll continue to be there. So that fear itself of death, you see, that goes away. Rumi writes, I was born a rock. No, I died a rock, I was born a plant. I died a plant, I was born an animal. I died an animal, I was born a man. I died a man, I was born an angel. So this is a cycle. This is a cycle, you just continue. So it does not really end with your body ending. That idea that we are self and not the body and mind, that is very fascinating in our scriptures because it removes the fear of death from us. Once you are not afraid of death, you are not afraid of anything, anyone. That's why when Alexander the Great landed in India, he was sent by his great the gurus, and when he came here, he wanted to take some wise people from India to Greece because his gurus were there, right? All these people from Aristotle and Plato and all this great lineage of gurus. So when he came here, he told that I want to take some Gyanis from India to Greece because Greece was also a knowledge capital. But he caught hold of one Gyani on the way who was happily sleeping half naked under a tree. And Alexander had not slept for days and nights because of wars and fights, and a little sound will wake him up out of fear that some enemy might attack me. Then he saw this Gyani happily sleeping under a tree, and then he realized that how can he be so peacefully sleeping? He has no bed, he has no roof, nothing, no comforts. So he sends us for him and sends the soldiers, says, call that man, that half-naked saint, and asks him to come to his presence. So when the soldier goes and tells that killing Alexander the Great is calling you, he says, who Alexander, who great? I do not go anywhere, I am not coming. He says, oh, he is the conqueror of the earth, you do not know he can do this, do that. Let him do what he wants. I am not coming, he says. Then Alexander becomes he told, tell him that I will chop his head if he does not come. I will kill him now and here. So again the soldier goes and tells, he is telling that he will kill you. He said, let whom does he kill? He'll kill the body. That is, I am not the body. Anyway, it's a burden to me. Good riddance, body will go. Let him kill. When he gives that answer, Alexander is perplexed. He gets down from his horse, walks all the way to this Gyani and says, how is it that you have no fear? Because I am so afraid. I can't sleep in the night. A little sound will wake me up. Why? Because I feel that there is an enemy going to attack me and they're going to kill me. And you are not afraid of death. I am telling you, I'll kill you. You don't even want to come near me. He says, wait, what is death? What is birth? These ideas are all temporary, illusory. We are always there. We are self. That knowledge he gives to Alexander the Great. That's why Greek philosophy also believes in these ideas. Because the idea itself is so true and great. And those who don't believe in it, what can I tell? They are suffering in imagination. That I am going to die, and after that what will happen, after what will not happen. All these considerations disappears from the mind of a jnani, because he is not afraid, because he knows the truth. Truth sets you free. And that freedom is moksha, mukti, dispassion, detachment. You can continue to be in the world, but the world will not be in you. There are beautiful slokas coming like this, where he keeps on exclaiming how joyful he is after discovering who he truly is. And he's gotten rid of all his limitations. So this is a beautiful concept, and any amount of talking about it can never do justice to the joy of knowing it. Knowing it is being it. Brahmaveda Brahmaiva Bhavati. So if you really want to enjoy this, you have to be that. The efforts are Shama Arjava Daya Tosha Satyam Piyushavad Bhaja. First start following good qualities in life, and Vishayan Vishavatyaja. Start from there. Once you do that sincerely, you will reach here at some point in time.